I can't believe Leslie Headland is seriously out here throwing shade at everyone but herself. It's like she's living in a parallel universe where she did nothing wrong, and the fans are just out to get her. It's almost impressive how she's managed to avoid any personal accountability.
Oh man, I heard about that. It's the same old excuse parade. Headlands blaming everything under the sun except her own disastrous work. It's like she set up this fantasy world where the Acolyte was a masterpiece and everyone else is just too blind or biased to see it. It's hilarious and sad at the same time.
And get this, she's actually implying that the show's failure is because of some conspiracy of toxic fans. Like, really, what's she going to do next? Claim the show was sabotaged by space aliens.
Oh my god, space aliens.
The truth is, the show was bad from the start. She's been hyping this as some revolutionary piece of Star Wars history, and all it did was flop harder than a pancake in a gym class.
It's almost like she's trying to rewrite history. She's out here saying there was a silent majority who loved the show, but come on, where are these people? Who are these so-called fans who apparently loved the Acolyte but couldn't be bothered to speak up? It's like saying there's a secret society of the Acolyte fanatics hiding under the radar. They're about as real as Bigfoot.
Exactly. The reality is the Acolyte was met with a sea of criticism from day one. From the teaser trailer to the full release, it was getting ratioed all over social media. That's a pretty clear sign that people weren't having it. And Leslie is out here playing the martyr, acting like it's all a big misunderstanding. No, sweetheart, the misunderstanding was thinking people would actually enjoy your show.
And let's not forget her whole spiel about toxic men being against female leads in Star Wars. It's such a weak argument. Star Wars fans have always embraced strong female characters. Leia, Ahsoka, Padme, the list goes on. But the Acolyte wasn't rejected because of its female lead. It was rejected because it was poorly executed and had a story that no one cared about. Gender had nothing to do with it.
Oh, totally. It's like she's trying to distract from the real issues by bringing up these gender politics arguments. Like, Star Wars has always had powerful women and fans love them. But when you come out with a show that's not just poorly written, but also seems to be pushing an agenda more than delivering a compelling story, people are going to notice. And when the story doesn't land, it doesn't matter who's in the lead.
Speaking of bad execution, how about the whole thing with Amandla Stenberg? She was supposed to be a big deal, but now she's out too. It's like the whole production team is getting shuffled off the stage. Headland and Stenberg getting the boot isn't a coincidence. They're part of a pattern of failed projects under Kathleen Kennedy's watch. The Acolyte was a train wreck, and everyone involved seems to be paying the price.
And the whole Kathy gave me pointers bit is just gold. Like, Kathleen Kennedy's advice is akin to asking a tornado for directions. She's been steering Star Wars into the ground for years now. It's no surprise that Headland followed her lead straight into a ditch. The track record speaks for itself. Kennedy's guidance is like the kiss of death for Star Wars projects.
Seriously, Kennedy's advice has been catastrophic for the franchise, and now Headland's out here saying that ignoring the fans was the way to go. Maybe if they had actually listened to the fans instead of dismissing them as toxic, they'd have seen some success. But no, they doubled down on their mistakes, and now they're surprised when it doesn't work out. It's almost poetic how they've managed to screw it up so consistently.
And get this, Headland's comments about the Nielsen ratings being manipulated are just laughable. Those numbers are about as reliable as it gets. If the show was actually doing well, the ratings would have reflected that. But instead, it was tanking and everyone saw it. The fact that she's trying to deny the numbers is just another way of avoiding responsibility for the show's failure.
Absolutely. The Nielsen ratings don't lie, and neither do the viewing figures. It's like Headland's trying to rewrite the rules of reality. The numbers were clear the show was a bust, and no amount of spinning or blame shifting is going to change that. It's a classic case of if you can't dazzle them with brilliance, baffle them with excuses, and frankly, it's getting old.
Plus, her whole narrative about the show was going to tell great stories is a joke. The show didn't deliver on any front: storytelling, character development, you name it. If it had been any good, it would have been received well. But it wasn't, and that's why it's getting canceled. This whole attempt to save face by claiming the criticism was overblown just makes her look even more out of touch.
Totally. She's clinging to the idea that there's a hidden fan base out there that just loves the Acolyte but hasn't said anything. It's like her own personal delusion. The reality is, people spoke loudly and clearly with their viewing habits. If they didn't watch, it's because they didn't want to. Simple as that.
And the fact that she's still going on about how this was some grand plan to spotlight underrepresented communities is just another layer of her delusion. If she had really wanted to do that, she'd have made a show that was actually good and worth watching. Instead, it was a poorly executed mess that failed on every level. Trying to use social justice as a shield for bad work is just pathetic.
Yeah, it's like throwing a tantrum and then claiming you were misunderstood. The show was bad, and that's why it failed. It wasn't because of some grand conspiracy or a secret hate group. It was just bad TV, and that's why it didn't resonate. Trying to spin it otherwise is just further proof of how out of touch Headland really is.
First of all, I have no idea what's going on at that level. I feel like I've been so in the micro of my show that I genuinely don't know what's going on in the macro.
Exactly. And now she's out here trying to paint herself as a martyr. It's like she's trying to keep the spotlight on her while the show's memory fades into obscurity. But guess what? The spotlight's dimming fast. Fans are moving on. And the sooner she accepts that, the better. Her attempts to keep the drama alive are just making her look even more desperate.
Totally. It's like she's trying to stretch out her 15 minutes of fame by making herself the center of a non-existent controversy. At this point, it's like watching someone cling to the last shred of a reputation that's already been completely shredded. She should just move on and try to salvage whatever credibility she has left rather than dragging out the drama.
Absolutely. It's almost pitiful how desperate she seems to stay relevant. Every time she blames fans or claims there's a hidden agenda against her, it just makes her look more out of touch. It's not the fans' fault that the Acolyte flopped. It's her own inability to deliver something people wanted to watch. If she'd just own up to her mistakes, maybe she could start rebuilding, but this martyr act isn't doing her any favors.
That's exactly what she should do. The more she rants and blames others, the more people are just going to lose interest. There's only so much attention you can grab with excuses before people start seeing it for what it really is, a desperate attempt to salvage a sinking ship. It's time for her to step back, reflect, and maybe try to learn from this colossal mess. But I'm not holding my breath.
Well said. It's a shame because if she had approached this differently, maybe there would have been a chance to salvage something positive. But with this constant blame game, it just seems like she's making things worse for herself. Here's hoping future projects learn from these mistakes and avoid the same pitfalls. Star Wars fans deserve better than endless excuses and failed attempts.
Absolutely, and who knows, maybe someday we'll see a return to form with a project that respects the franchise's legacy and delivers something worth watching. For now, though, I'm just glad to see the end of The Acolyte and all its drama. Time to look forward to the next chapter and hope it's a better one. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe for more Trooper Talks. Catch you guys later.